All right, last minute thrash before we load this car off for another movie shoot. I came out this morning and there was a big puddle of power steering fluid under the car, so this big O-ring had given up the ghost, so I'm going to dig it out. I'm just gonna rebuild the pump, basically just all new seals, not really a rebuild. And I'm gonna be lazy. I'm not taking the insides out because this pump doesn't make any noise, and there's just two O-rings in there behind that. So I took a I'll show you guys what I did real quick. I did it the lazy way. I painted it, drilled a hole, and used a sheet metal screw to press out the old seal. And then I just took a big ass socket. I think it's like a 1 1/8. Yeah. And I just drove it in with a 1 1/8 socket. And I'm not doing like a big step-by-step on this. And we'll get this back together. The other thing that happened, every season I used to change the antifreeze. I used to take out the adjuster bolt for the power steering, put a little fresh coat of sealer on it. Obviously you do it after the block's drained. And then over here, because this car has been not really driven a lot the last several years, so maybe a decade ago, I kind of stopped doing that because I hadn't really been making a lot of belt adjustments or anything. So this was seized inside the water pump. This got seized in the water pump, so I almost couldn't get it out. I was really afraid I was going to wring it off. I was thinking I was going to have to probably pull the radiator. And what I did do is I jacked the car up. I got the nose up as high as I could get it last night. And I was able to get some penetrant oil down in the hole there and let it run down. Made a huge difference getting it out this morning. I was really happy I could get it out. I already cleaned the threads up on it and stuff. Basically, the pass-through for the water pump had grabbed it. It had corroded shut because I probably had made a couple of adjustments. And, once you make an adjustment, the threads are going to start leaking. So I think from now on, anytime I do an antifreeze change, I'll also do a belt tension check. And if I move this bolt, I'm going to completely remove it, reseal it, and put it back in. The other thing that happened, I had to strike the bolt with a hammer to get it out, and I guess I must have jostled this 25-year-old seal, so the water pump started leaking right along the gasket and dripping out on top of the harmonic balancer. So I get to put a water pump on it today too. And it's only Wednesday, and we're supposed to be dropping this off this coming Monday. Hopefully I get it all back together by then and don't have any problems. I don't foresee any problems. This was the one this was my oh shit moment. Because I tell you what, if you ring one of these off in the block, you're going to be pulling the whole timing chain cover off to get to it, and that's a big job. Anyway, that's what I'm up against. Just coat my new O-ring with a little fresh power steering fluid. I'm going to work it around here. We'll just walk him right on. He should go on pretty easy. Oh yeah. Get that to walk right on. There we go. There we go. Make sure I get all the grit off of it. Yep. I think to keep my O-rings from falling off, I think I'm gonna just put a little bit of juice on these square cut ones so they don't fall off when I slide the case back on. Right there. Some people grease them. I don't like to put anything in there unless it's power steering fluid. And usually just a little bit of fluid is enough to make it sticky enough that they won't pop off on you when you put the case back on. That's such a pain when you get this thing looped all the way around. And then you have to pull the case back off. I got this wiped out really good. It probably wouldn't hurt just to put a little bit of fluid right around the edges. Let that slide on nice and easy. Gotta get the holes to line up. Always a joy. Alright, all my O-rings are on. Okay. There we go. You get those to line up just like that. That goes on pretty easy. Before I slide out all the way, I like to go ahead and just take and put one of them in and see how it's going to go. Of course, it would be nice if I could remember if it was the long end or the short end that went in. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Okay, that lines up with the hole. That's good. This one seems to line up okay-ish. Yep, that's probably good enough to start pressing it on. Then I do want to make sure, I'm going to have to put another O-ring on this too, but I just want to make sure she's going to line up. Yeah, and it will. Okay, that's good. All right. Okay, pump's pretty much back together. Just have to bolt the brackets on and put the pulley on, and it'll be ready to go back in the car. Just showing you how I got this off with the stock air conditioning on. Contrary to popular belief, you don't have to pull the clutch and pulley assembly and remove that bracket. You can just undo every other bracket except for this one bracket attached to the head on the passenger side. Just loosen up both of the bolts holding it. There's two in there, and just let it, you can just rock it kind of forward and over, and that will give you enough room to get that top water pump bolt out, and then it just slides out. Looks like there's a little bit of a difference in the design here between the original rebuilt factory style pump, which still has the Mopar part numbers on it. And this is a Murray replacement pump, and you can see the impeller is a different diameter, and it's also it sticks out farther than the other one. Now I notice it has more clearance between its pump body compared to the Mopar one, which is like right on it. So what I did is I stuck it in the car over here without the gasket on, and it doesn't seem to rub. So I know with the gasket on it's not going to rub, but boy, I tell you what, that is really, I guess they really like to run that clearance tight with the impeller. Must be a precision fit. So I just know it doesn't rub, so it'll work. Not been fun. So this has got to come over here like this, and then just screw in. I have to put the belt in and then throw the fan shroud in before I put the fan in, because it's so tight I can't get the belts between the fan and the radiator. Piece of cardboard in there. I don't punch a hole in the radiator. Lower Mr. Fan in there. Oh yeah. Alright, that looks pretty good. Yeah, that's not too bad. The last piece of the puzzle is our lower radiator hose. It's another Gates like the car had on it. One that was on it, it got oil soaked from the leaky gaskets on the upper end of the car that we changed out on the other video. So it's pretty much used up. Same part number as the original one. This one's like, I think, 11 years old. I think it says 2009 on the date code. This one I think shows 20E06. I'm sure that translates to 2020 something. The thing I noticed about the new hose, it looks like to me it's a tad thinner, and that was a problem with the upper radiator hose. And the upper radiator hose actually collapsed on me when I was breaking in the lifter in the other video, when we had the engine revving up to 2,000 before the thermostat opened. And that may or may not happen on an upper radiator hose. It didn't look normal to me. but I did notice it was a lot squishier than the one that was on it, although I'm sure the rubber had hardened a little. But just looking at the cross section, and I'm trying to pick the one that's not on the oil side, I can see that this one is a little bit thicker walled than the new one. And if I hold them up like this, I can tell too. You can see that they're actually a slightly different outer diameter. I don't know if you can tell by me holding it up like that or not. But the other thing I noticed too is they didn't include a spring with the new one. And I know that the lower radiator hose is the one that sees the most suction. So I would think that you would want to have that spring in it. And since I've always kept my coolant changed, the spring is not dissolved, it's still good. I'm going to end up putting the new spring, putting the spring into the new radiator hose. And because it's cut to fit, and I detest cut to fit hoses, especially on Mopars, because of all the weird contours they have, I'm going to take the one that I almost goobered 11 years ago, and it was just a little shortish on the radiator side. So I'm going to give myself like another 1/4 of an inch on the radiator end, and then I'm also going to go in here, and it looks like I need to trim off maybe an 1/8 to 1/4 right here. I'm going to mark it and tape it. I'm going to take a new razor blade in my Gerber. We'll get some new blades here. We'll get that set up, and we'll get this trim to fit, and hopefully I get it right, because it's Sunday morning and we're dropping this car off Monday afternoon. So if I wreck this hose, that means I have to go order another one and wait for it to come in Monday, which would not be a good thing. So we'll take and get this to go down a little bit. Okay, we're going to cut off about 315. We'll make it 315. I'll go a little less. I know I've come pretty close. All right, so that's going to be 315-ish, and that's pretty close. Again, it's not super exact, and they didn't cut this hose perfectly square at the factory either. They kind of half-assed it. So I'm a little more right there, but you can tell by looking at the hose, they didn't get that right either. So the only thing I want to do is just trim it up a little bit. So we get this to line up good like that. You can see I'm maybe just a tad above that, and that should be fine. So I'm just going to go in, and I've got a super sharp razor blade with my Gerber orange handled knife here. I bought an orange one because I'm always misplacing these things, so I figured if it's a bright color I can find it. And I'm just going to go in here. What I like to do is try to roll it around as I go so I don't goober it up. Kind of have to squeeze it to get it started. This hose is like really flexible. It's not cutting like, there we go, once you get it going. And then I'm just going to roll it around and follow the tape best I can, going slow and easy so I don't accidentally slice too far in one direction or the other, and just keep working it around. Then you get a nice clean cut, and then it's cut to the length you want all the way around, so that when you're trying to force it up into the water pump, and you'll see what I'm going to go through in just a minute, it's a really tight area to get this back in with everything back together. I'm going to have to squeeze it between the strut rods sticking out the front of the K-member, and then I got to squeeze up underneath the fan belts, all that good stuff. Just really making me work for it. Come on now. I'll tell you what, for a new blade, man, this thing ain't cutting worth a flip. Come on now, stop playing hard to get. Jesus, I've never had a hose cut so hard. It's like this thing is made out of gel. It just doesn't want to cut clean. It's like trying to cut frozen cookie dough. What the heck is that doing that for? I'm almost there. That is just really making me work for it. Come on now. I'm going to pinch her a little bit. What the hell? There we go. That's some stiff stuff. Of course, it's 53 degrees in here. Maybe that ain't helping either. I don't know. All right. That's pretty fair. So we'll see how I did. Okay, that's the same height as the other one, and the other one fit. and the contour is the same. It's the same elbow. So I'm going to say I pretty much got that right. So I can pull my tape off on this end. All right, that's a nice clean cut. Not as clean as I'd like, but it's fairly square. Got a couple spots there that didn't go the way I wanted. I think I'm going to try a different brand of blades. I did not like those, whatever those were. Those really sucked. Let's get another set. Let's see if it makes any difference. I suspect it's the rubber, but we'll see. Again, it doesn't have to be to the millimeter, but you do have to have it cut short enough so that you don't kink the hose, and not too short that you can't reach the other end of the path. So I'm showing, I'll tighten her down, 855. All right, so basically 8.5 of an inch. So if we're at 855, I want to give myself, let's see, I want to go another 250. Yeah, next time I cut one, I'm going to make sure it's at least 70 degrees temperature. I'll tell you what, when they're hard, it's cold, man, they are harder to cut. All right. That different brand of blade definitely did a better job. I got a cleaner cut. Oh, there we go. Make sure I didn't goober it up. Yep, she's just a tad longer, and that's what I want. So I feel pretty good that's going to go right in. But I am going to warn y'all, when I go to put this on, there's probably going to be a cuss cloud hanging over this car, because this lower hose going on here is not a fun job. The last thing is gas hose clamp orientation. I think I want that one. I'm going to face up like that so I can tighten it from above, and I have to lay on my back. And this one I know I got to position it so I can go in between the fan belts and tighten it. I slipped the spring and I just realized there's a big end and a small end, and I think the reason of that is you don't be able to suck this into the water pump. Yep, she's 780. I bet the other end's a lot smaller. Yep, a lot smaller. Small end, that goes right into the water pump. It probably couldn't kiss the impeller, but I don't think we want it doing that. So I think we want it like that. And obviously on the radiator end it's smaller. Of course, you know, it's sucking it that way. So we definitely want to put the spring, we'll put the little end in first because it'll be easier to load it. I have to screw it in. It should go right in there. Oh yeah. All right, coming in down here. I'm not sure which end I got to connect first. This never goes well. This one's always a tough job on this car. That's right in there. She's on already. New water pump is going to go on easy. But then I got to get this to go down below and hook on. And if I remember, that never goes easy. It's already fighting me. So I'm getting right into the whatever you call that thing. I did a video on it. I think I can remember the name of it. Strut rod. It's getting into the strut rod down there. So I'm going to have to, I think I got to rotate this thing down quite a bit. Maybe back this way. Show me wanting to go. Tell you that. Oh yeah, it's fighting me. Fight, fight, fight. Always a fight. Boy, I don't want to go on. God, I might have to try the radiator in first. Let's see, I got, my length actually looks okay, but that bend sure don't look good. Get right into the fuel pump. God, that's aggravating. Oh boy. So I can get her to go down without tearing it. Jesus. All right. Here we go. Come on. Come on. she's going to play hard to get. Okay, I almost got it. She's folding over on me. There we go. Okay. I think I got it. So it's not folded. See that? She's got it right up on there. Pretty good. She fits kind of weird, but I got more of it on the radiator than I did before. But I do want to make sure that it's not getting into the it's not getting into the water pump, and it just clears that strut rod. So she's on, but you still got more space down on the bottom than I'd like. I think I can get it to. Oh, there we go. Okay, just made me work for it a little bit. I can mix that up a little more. Oh yeah. Oh, that fits good now. Yep, that's a lot better. So I got a lot of meat to grab now. Yep, it's way back there. There's a lot of overlap on this, so even though it's not touching the radiator, the sealing surface stops about half a thumb's width before it meets the radiator. So if I got this clamp anywhere after there, you can see where it goes around it. There's the crimp on the radiator to hold it. So right there will be perfect. So that's a good fit. She's not folded. It's not going to collapse. It's on there good. It just misses that. Just misses the strut rod. Okay. I got it right the first time. I don't have to take it back off. I'm real happy about it. All I have to do is just tighten it down. No cuss cloud this time. But we still have to fill it up with coolant and hope and pray nothing else on this thing leaks, because it has to be in Cortland, which is like 60 miles from here, tomorrow at 3:30 where they start filming. No pressure. It's like mid-30s outside, but we don't want to fill the garage up with exhaust, so I'm going to crack the door open, start it up, and then once I get it started, we're just going to give it a quick visual and make sure it's not squirting fluids out anywhere, and if it's not, we'll back it out and we'll get it up to temp and take it for a test drive. Brr. Shooting fluid out of the power steering box, so the new O-ring I put on must have worked. I can tell by the sound, it sounds like I've already sucked the power steering fluid out of that reservoir. To get those hoses and stuff with more fluid than I thought. So we're going to shut it off and check the fluid before I got to top it off. I'm just going to grab this and see if I've... Yep, I sucked her dry. I don't know if you can look down in there or not. You can see the top of the pump inside the housing. Yeah, she's dry. So I'm going to have to top that off. No big deal. Now that it's 40 degrees in here, I got my jacket off. I'm going to just douse a little in there. It doesn't take much to top these off, so I'm always careful about overfilling. I know that wasn't enough, but I'm just going to see where I'm at just to gauge where. Ooh, it's all foamy because I ran it dry. All right, we're gonna have to let that settle for just a little bit. It's all foamed over. Get down there, you can see how foamy it is. I'm surprised that those hoses took up all it was on the reservoir. So we're gonna have to give that probably 5 or 10 minutes to stop doing that so we can see where we're at. No big deal. I could tell by the noise right off she was sucking air. That's okay. All right, just a quick sneaky peeky. All the bubbles are just about gone. You can see I just barely have the top of that pump body covered in there. We're going to just dump a little bit more in there, and hopefully it won't suck air the next time we turn it back on. Let's see if she's quiet now. a sneaky peeky in there. Roll it out. Alright, there's nothing spraying or slinging anywhere, so I think we're good. The pump's not whining anymore, it's nice and quiet. That sounds good. Got a return hose leak. I have to get my wrench and tighten down on that. There's just a teeny tiny drip coming off that return line. I can see it right there, top of the box. So I'm just going to come in with a 1/4 inch wrench. This is a baby hose clamp. We're just going to come in and just snug that up so it'll stop dripping. This hose is probably 15 years old. It's pretty hard, but cinching down on this should stop the leak. It's not cracked or split. I think that's all it took. It stopped. And dry it off with a towel instead. Definitely putting out the heat. I'm not going to push it too much. You know, we just got it back together. Concerned that it might possibly have a leak on the coolant crossover on the timing chain cover, because all I did was just tap the water pump when I was trying to get the bolts loose, and it broke the seal where the water pump attached to the timing chain cover, and it just started leaking coolant everywhere at room temperature with the cap off. So I knew I screwed up when that happened. But I have a funny feeling that all the oil that was leaking off the head seals on the intake manifold the last 4 or 5 years, running down the timing chain cover, probably kept those gaskets soaked up pretty good so they didn't dry out like the water pump gasket did. The water pump gasket was like as brittle as dried up play dough. There wasn't no pliable left to it at all. It just crumbled. But we're doing 50 right now. She's up to temperature and it's like 35 out here. So I can get on at one time. We'll just do a quick downshift. Glad I didn't do that now on a day like this. They got some nice twisty S's here. You can really come cooking through here. There's our local wrecking yard there. They wreck a lot of cars in northern Alabama. A lot. It's going to be a tight turn right here. Give her a little pedal. she's up the temperature, and it's like 35 out here. So I could get on at one time. We'll just do a quick downshift. That was right up to 75. Woo! This thing pulls. Man, that was like 50 to 75 in like, what, 2.5 seconds or something? Just cooking. Good, it's still here.